This is Maintenance and Manufacturing Insights, hosted by Martin Engster, bringing you straight conversations with the people keeping machines running and production moving.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. I am here with Joshua Kroll. Josh, please tell us about yourself.
Hey, how's it going? Great to be here. Thank you. My name is Joshua Kroll. I currently am a facilities maintenance supervisor working with Trincaro Family Estates out in Napa, California. Great industry, wonderful company to work for, and learning so much every day.
Outstanding. So you said you're out in Napa, California?
Yes, absolutely.
How long have you been in California?
So post-military, I just came out here, and so I've been out here for about a year and a half. Thankfully, the wife didn't divorce me while making the family move over the week right before Christmas. But when people say, "Why was it such important?" The weather out here is just beautiful.
Yeah. So okay, you said military. So what branch were you in? I have to ask.
Awesome. Well, I have an interesting story, but I started in the Marine Corps for almost a decade,
All right.
and then I transferred over to the Navy, and I was a nuclear sub officer that part of my career.
Awesome. Well, hey, jarhead to jarhead, once a Marine, always a Marine, no matter what happens. My son, he's 22 and he's also in the Marine Corps. So we're a bunch of gun rocks, artillery guys.
Nice. I appreciate all the gun rocks because, that's what I always, in the Marine Corps, that was my job, is making sure I could put boom, boom on target. So
That's right. We eat crayons. So yeah, makes sense. Boom, boom on target. Got it. So now that you don't do boo boo and eat crayons on a regular basis. Oh, wait a minute. We never grow out of
wait, you stopped eating crayons? When did you stop eating crayons?
We never grow out of that.
By the way, there is a Crayola ice cream flavor if you haven't tried it.
Outstanding. I'll have to look into it for sure. My son probably knows about it, but we'll find out. So hey, so what do you do as far as maintenance program goes? How big is your crew? Do you guys have a big crew?
Yeah, so we have multiple facilities. We have a facility out in the Central Valley. We have a facility out in Napa, and I'm part of the Napa facility. At that crew, we have about 20 plus mechanics, and we operate, call it 1,500 plus fixed and flexible units. Most of our fixed assets require flexible units to move stuff. If you can think about moving wine from tank to tank, you got to be able to move hoses and pumps and stuff like that. But also, we take care of the infrastructure for 6 different sites with ranging from anything from processing waste to buildings and working with contractors.
Okay. So when you refer to equipment, what kinds or what types of equipment do you guys have or use?
So we work with our operational team. So we call them the seller. The seller is the one that does actual grape processing. So we are about to get into the Super Bowl right now. It's known as harvest. Harvest is the time where we bring in the grapes off the vine. We pull them, crush them, turn them into juice, and then juice into wine. So as you can imagine, the truck comes in, it'll dump it into a hopper. That hopper will either destem and then move it along the lines. We'll take that over to the press area. So you have presses, which are like pneumatic bladders that crush the grapes. That gets the juice out, and then
So no more stomping, walking around on them?
No, we try to do that only on special occasions. And, with the amount of grapes that we do, I think last year at this facility, we did somewhere in the terms of 47,000 tons of grapes. And compared to some of our other facilities, that's actually small.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
So that's a lot of stomping if you're using your feet.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Yeah, you wouldn't stop stomping. That'd be it. So okay, so what kind of when it comes to maintenance or whatever else, what kind of preventative maintenance do you have in place, or your SOP or standard operating procedure? For said equipments. Do you guys have a crew for each different type, like the stomper, the pneumatic presses, or whatever your presses, the conveyor system from one to the other, or whatnot? What do you have certain teams per item, or just your maintenance as a whole takes care of all of these different type of machines?
That's actually a great question. One of the things that we focused on is personal development, skill development. Here at our company, we actually, rather than hiring skilled tradesmen directly in for certain tasks, we hire mechanics roles into a kind of junior level position, and then we grow them at the company. So a lot of the times, what we'll
Yep.
use is a skill matrix to help us focus on what different skills that the mechanics have, and then we will broaden their skills as they develop their experience. So any of our mechanics should be able to do any of the pieces of equipment that we offer. We do have some mechanics that do specialize into certain roles, like HVAC, which dealing with refrigerants, PSM, which is our process safety management, dealing with ammonia, or other areas like backflow preventers and stuff like that that do require licenses and certain certifications.
Right.
When we send the mechanics out, we do usually send them on the scope of the assignment. So anywhere from 1 to 3 team members. And I'll tell you right now, we had a big project come up that we needed to finish the PMs on in a hurry. We sent 5 or 6 mechanics to handle it all at once.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, tag team it and be done with it.
Well,
But
when we're dealing with some of the constraints, because like I said, harvest is our Super Bowl. So our PM window is typically from November into July. So if we can't get our PMs during that time, then now we're putting our operational team in
right.
the sense of not being fully ready for what they need to do.
Right. Yeah, that's when you have the hiccups, the slowdowns, and yeah, the issues come up, and you definitely want to make sure that's taken care of before you start.
That's when it comes down to having more downtime. And we've done great reducing our downtime over the last several years.
That's awesome. So what have you guys done to mitigate or lower that downtime?
Oh, we just close our eyes and pretend nothing happened.
Yeah, that helps a lot. I mean, most of the time it's what I do as well. Stick a
But
band-aid on it, call it a day. Duct tape,
absolutely,
right? It fixes everything.
absolutely. But on a serious note, it really came down to a lot of the administration and KPI tracking. You know, I was fortunate to join this team while they were already kind of in a maturing phase. But talking back from some of the stories I've heard is we have a, CMMS system which we use called Maintenance Connection, and that's where our work orders are tracked, and that's how we put in our PMs and everything else. Back a couple of years ago, the KPI we were trying to get was just mechanic time tracked. Like,
Sure.
hey, can you just fill out your work order, do your work order, right?
Right.
And so this use of work orders and maintenance systems, they before that system, they were on paper work orders, as you can imagine, which going away from that system to a digital system, now there was a training aspect involved. Now I will say, like, our team is fantastic with the time track. And when it comes to PM completion, I think our current average right now is over 98% completion over the last 12-month rolling average. And one of the reasons that was is we had 3 special projects thrown on us where we had 1 month our PM completion dipped to 78%.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So okay. I mean, so a lot of the different companies that I've talked to so far, we've talked about preventative maintenance. However, from the sound of what, or from experience after having talked to these companies, was most of the time it wasn't much of a preventative maintenance. It was more of a reactive maintenance. In other words, machine goes down. Oh crap! Here we go. We're kind of up that proverbial creek without a paddle. So we got to get all hands on deck or get our guys fixing this and whatnot. And then they're scrounging. And of course, downtime plays a bigger role because it's unexpected, et cetera, et cetera. With that being said, what was one of the biggest, I mean, from what you were talking about, you guys really have a season where you've got time to do your preventative maintenance. However, I'm sure there's scenarios have come up where you've ran into that the proverbial shit did hit the fan and now you're scrounging trying to get everything taken care of. So what was the equipment failure and how did you handle that situation?
Yeah, before I jump into that, let me clarify. So for our harvest season, that's where 100% of our machines are running.
Okay.
Outside of the the harvest season, our presses are not running, and it's our filters are running now. So we still do have filters that are running year round, and those we have to keep up. And that's one of those things where we have had issues like that and go down, and then we've had to be reactive. But essentially, one of the equipment failures that we had that kind of caused a lot of problems is on the receiving line when I was here. One of the destemmers stopped working, right? So basically, a destemmer is a device that has a bunch of paddles knocking the crap out of grapes, so the grapes come off the stems. That's why it's called a destemmer. So you have the paddles in the drum, and that stopped working. So we've had all these grapes backed up. We got trucks waiting. We're like, what's going on? So finally, with the seller's help, we were able to clear it out. And there was as you can imagine, when they go to the vineyards, some of these trucks are automated and they cut that stuff off. There was an entire grape vine that was 2 to 3 inches thick, looked like a warhammer that got bound in the machine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
The reason
something
it took us
to cause a failure.
that's what caused the failure. But the reason I highlight that is we went into it with a bias of that kind of stuff shouldn't be there.
Right.
So we're like, hey, if it gets dumped in there, they should be doing quality check out there, and then it goes in the machine, and then it should be coming up. Just the clearances alone to get up there, that had to have been in the perfect position to have gotten up there. But when we started troubleshooting, one of the things we were looking at it from a mechanical type of view, and we had this bias of, well, let's say what it's not, let's say what it is. So I would encourage everyone when they're doing troubleshooting is to make sure that they're challenging their biases as step one. Anytime that we think that we're getting into something and we start jumping towards a conclusion, we got to make sure that you have someone on the team who's kind of like, what if we're wrong? And once we did figure that out, we were able to, lock out the machine, get in there to dig this thing out. The rest of it was working fine, came back right on. But at the time, we thought it was more of like the position sensor. And so we were spending so much time on that. So had we done a more thorough troubleshooting in that moment, we probably would have come to the answer a lot quicker. But overall, we were using like root cause analysis, fishbone tree. We were using all the techniques and tools to kind of give us avenues to go after. But sometimes, that low hanging fruit, you just start with, okay, well, what are the worst case scenarios that could happen, even if we don't think they could?
So did that trigger a new process in your SOP as far as, maintenance or preventative maintenance?
So for preventive maintenance, no. For the problem solving and analysis, yes. Like I said, we definitely go in and we challenge our assumptions when we start, and we train our guys to do that way. When it comes to a lot of the preventive maintenance, a lot of those procedures, just to kind of talk about where they came from, the step one of those processes is just getting them into a system and doing an inspection of some sort. And if you have guidance on it from a manual or manufacturer's maintenance recommendations, those would be the first PMs that we put in. PMs after that we put in usually are due to, like you said, a failure where we will, I'll give you a failure which did improve our PMs is, so we had a different destemmer where it was rubbing on the surrounding cage. Right. And so what was going on is we kept having to replace parts because they were wearing out. Yep. So what we did is we added an adjuster to be able to lift it up off of the cage, which maybe the company should have done that from installation. But after we added that adjuster, it was no longer rubbing, and it reduced our parts consumption on those pretty much down to a third of what we were used to.
Wow. I mean, I could see how that could be a process, or not a process, but I mean, an extra step or something that can help the process in the long run for sure. I mean, lifting something, it's definitely takes effort.
Yeah. And honestly, our team is really good about that, because when I said challenging the assumptions, we've even challenged the assumptions to assume that the person building the equipment doesn't operate it as long as we do. because
Right.
some of these
Right.
adjustments are adjustments that you would think of, which I have a funny story of how I don't like engineers, even though I am one. And
Let's hear it.
so I was out in serving our country in the middle of Iraq, and we were with the artillery. Okay,
Right.
had that we had the howitzers, and
There we
essentially
go.
in the middle of the
M108s.
in the middle of the night, they had me troubleshooting a piece of equipment. So
Yep.
they have little dials on there that illuminate so they can see what the position is so that they
Yep.
can get their shots positioned to go where they need to go.
Yep.
The way that these new the lightweight howitzer was designed was with a battery pack on it. And the battery pack opened to where the batteries would come out the bottom. That's great
Yep.
because that way you don't have to try and, pull it out with anything. That was a good design. However, they did not have an on off switch. So this illuminator was always on.
Right.
So now it was the batteries were going out too frequently for what we were
Of
using.
course.
And so when you took the cap off, the batteries fall out and you're trying to put the other ones in, but there was no on off switch. And then they lost the cap because the cap wasn't tethered. So if you can imagine trying to talk to a whole bunch of artillery grunts and trying to convey to them that they need to be careful about losing these batteries in the middle of Iraq in a whole bunch of
Yeah.
dirt,
Yep.
it was a
Good luck.
pleasant conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, we had so I was artillery for the Marine Corps and I had the M108s, but we didn't have any of the battery pack ones. I mean, that was the newer ones with the hydraulics and all that weird stuff. My son was telling me about those. He went to school, what was it, probably about 3 years ago, and he was showing me. I mean, I got to go on base and go check all the stuff out, and was welcomed by everybody because it was funny because I walk into his classroom, and in his classroom there's a row of all the classes that have graduated, prior to him. And the CO walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, I heard that you were part of the artillery school here and this, that, and the other." I was like, "Yep, sure was." He goes, "So what year? What year were you in?" So I asked him, and he was like, "Yeah, I graduated in, I think he said in 2015 or something like that." And I was like, "Well, sir, if you go into your classroom, if you look at the very, very first picture, 00 TAC 01, that was my classroom." And he was like, "Oh shit." And he was like, "Well, this was your place before. This was your house before it was mine. So do what you will and go and explore." And I was like, "You know what? That's really cool." So yeah. Anyway, us gun rocks.
No, that's awesome that you were able to share that with your family. So
Yeah, I mean it was really neat. It was really cool watching him graduate from there and seeing all that. That was pretty cool. No questions asked. So speaking of, what do you do outside for a hobby? I mean, you said you were in the Marine Corps, you went to the Navy, you served some time overseas. So we know that stuff, but what do you do for fun?
for fun right now, I try not to go insane. Essentially, I have a family of six. I have four boys that are
Wow.
currently, my oldest is about to go into high school. So we've got the 14, 12, 11, and 10 right now. So basically, the wife and I just talk about the lost decade or the dark decade of our lives where we can't remember it because it was four under four and it just as they have all grown. But I love spending time with them. I'm, you know, into working out, and on the other side of things, I'm kind of a nerd. I really am into AI and automation, and so I'm actually using a lot of that in our maintenance practices. Not right now, as we're developing. Kind of new on that front, but overall,
Yeah.
I love being able to go in and seeing what the new technology is, and those are kind of my hobbies.
What are some? I mean, so I'm glad you brought it up. I usually ask the same question about AI. I mean, AI is just kind of taking its toll on everybody. I mean, it's everywhere, and everybody's talking about it, this, that, and using it for who knows what not. How are you using AI? I mean, you're using it for automation or just, I mean, it's a tool. That's how I see it.
Yes. So a lot of the AI that, let me just say it like this, for all of the capability that is out there, companies inherently are not able to use that full capability because as they bring AI on board, they are giving guidelines, protocols, and guardrails to make sure that it doesn't go crazy. There are limitations that I can do at work on AI and automation based on the enterprise assets that we use. However, a couple ways that I'm using it right now is for a lot of the analysis. When you're looking at automation, is really anything that you can do. The way I describe it to my team is when we were first getting jobs. You remember in high school where you had to get the word count,
Job
play the
training,
game,
all that stuff.
and even on resumes, you're like, how many words can you type per minute, right?
Yep.
Then we went into, hey, do you have the Office Microsoft certification? Because we want to know that you can use Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and all of those things, right? And now we're getting into that area where it's like, okay, not only that, but Power BI and other RPA programs, like Alteryx and other things like that, are programs that you can take mundane tasks that are repeatable and turn them into workflows. Yeah. And then from an AI standpoint, by building agents or just using Copilot as an analysis tool, if you learn how to build up that framework, it cuts all the analysis time down. One of the other things that that I've been working on using AI for is kind of that first industry analysis and being able to look at, okay, what's new and what's not. So I was talking about PSM and I haven't got it fully up running yet, but one of the things that I'm using AI for is building an agent to where I tell it all about process safety management. And then anytime it comes up for a regulatory or news or incident, it brings it in so I can incorporate that into our training here. So basically it's scrubbing while I'm not to bring in that data to help build our programs a little bit better. I'm also, like I said, we do a lot of development skills in-house. So I'm building both a welding and machining training from AI. So essentially, by giving it the right prompts, it's given me a curriculum. And the reason I'm validating the curriculum is while I was in the Navy, I was an instructor for many of the years as well. I was a master training specialist, and I've built many curriculum for nuclear submarine type tracks. And that's something that I'm bringing in here is being able to build a curriculum where we can vet the safety, build their skills. Because when you're dealing So I apologize for ranting so long, but those are kind of some of the ways that I'm using AI right now. But I'm just scratching the surface of what I can do here. And really, the biggest thing I would say for the analysis part is learn how your systems can put out a CSV. If you can get a separated value file, then putting it into automation or AI will be possible.
Right. Yeah, it's wild what AI can do nowadays. I mean, I'm from a generation where, I mean, I was born in 1980, so this AI stuff, the amount that it can do and what it can be used for, I mean, is absolutely endless, truly. However, it's still just, I see it as still just a tool, not as a fact of life or a fact of doing business. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'll give you an instance of what we have just recently used it for is a maintenance organization. Do you think they have a couple records or files that they have?
Yeah.
If it's not paper copying, if it's not paper copying, they went to digital. It's probably on some drive somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So by running a PowerShell command, I took a whole inventory of that entire library, and then I put that into AI to look at file type, file size, last time it was accessed, duplicates and stuff like that. Yeah. And the initial analysis is that we were going to be able to reduce the file inventory size about 30 to 40%. It also gave us a recommended structure that we could, so in our migration to SharePoint, of how to better use it and it will be able to convert all of the metadata on those files to be used in the bulk migration.
Yeah, and it does it within seconds.
I was doing all of this within probably 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So here's a completely different question here, personal side again. When you tell people what you do for a living, what is the wow that you get from people? Like, what is the part where people are like, "Holy crap, you do what?" And you have to really kind of explain a little bit more.
So a lot of it goes into the wine industry. The wine industry is one that just creates questions, and a lot of I mean, it's true. Like if I was working for, I used to work with nuclear power, and people were like, "Oh," and they wanted to learn about it because nuclear power. Now I'm working in wine industry, and they're like leaning in. They're like, "Oh, how is that? Like
Right.
how involved
It's
is
a lot
it?
more relatable because they usually, bottle ups.
Exactly. So really, it's more been on the industry, but when I do get the chance to talk about some of the projects, we talked about improving our parts inventory and going from call it around 40% daily accuracy to, you know, maintaining over a 99% accuracy overall. Because right now, the daily inventory, I will say, is only a snapshot. And so what we did is we looked at that daily inventory and we said, if we can maintain our daily inventory above 80%, that means that our inventory overall is at a 99.9% accuracy.
Right. That's awesome. Heck yeah.
But again, people are not as fascinated as much about me talking about my parts project as just talking about, oh, what grapes are you going to be crushing?
Right. Imagine that. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, never
I have
mind.
to tell people, I'm not a winemaker. I just do the equipment.
That's right, right. Yeah. Well, and that's when interest level goes from you do wine to
It goes from you do wine to do you have access to wine?
Yeah, right. So what bottle you bringing next time, right? Chateauneuf de Pop.
I don't have that vintage, but yeah, there's Trinquero makes amazing wines, and if you're ever out here, definitely get the chance to go to their tasting rooms because, like I said, I definitely have enjoyed them in the past, and I just personal note is one of those where I definitely cut down the consumption, but overall, they make amazing bottles. So
That's awesome. Heck yeah. Well, I want to take the time now to thank you, Joshua, for being on the show, talking to us about what you do, how you do it, and all the maintenance and things. You didn't tell me enough about wines, but I mean, I guess we win some, you lose some. Thank you for your service. I think that is absolutely amazing. I mean, obviously, I'm a fellow jarhead with you on that account. My dad was in the German Navy, so I'm a Go Navy fan as well. So I won't give you too much crap for that one. But thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing everything with us. And we'll hopefully see you soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Maintenance and Manufacturing Insights with Martin Engster. Want to be featured on the show? Head over to maintenancemanufacturinginsights.com/guest to apply and share your story with the industry.